Yeah, hi, Shivani. We can actually start now. I am all set.
Yeah, just give me a minute.
Sure, sure.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, please type a yes in the chat window. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much. So, welcome to today's webinar on live profile evaluation series, which we are doing with Singapore Management University. This is a premium institute in Singapore. For those of you who are new to Jamboree or who are attending this perhaps for the first time, we are a leading institution offering online as well as classroom-based test prep solutions for GMAT, GRE, SAT, TOEFL, IELTS, etc. And we also have a host of other services like admission counseling, interview preparation, visa counseling, etc. So now I'm happy to introduce Mr. Rajneesh, who is a country manager at SMU. He takes care of the marketing, admissions, business development, corporate relations for all postgrad programs at SMU. I would just like to announce uh, names of some students who have come up and offered us to discuss their profiles. So we have shortlisted Mukesh Kumar, Vani Sharma, Satya, and Sagar Chawla. So we'll be calling out their names, and these people can probably unmute themselves, and we can have a more engaging discussion for the benefit of everyone. So, very warm welcome, Rajneesh. Let us
Thank you.
you now. Let's start with your presentation.
Right. Thank you, Jamboree, for providing us this opportunity. Jamboree events have been fantastic over the years, and we have had this long association for at least 7, 8 years, as long as I've been with SMU for last 8 years or so, and working very closely with Jamboree. And always, these events have been very, very innovative. This is a fantastic event. Never done something similar. So, kind of a break from the regular webinars that you do. So, very, very interesting concept, and I'm very excited to be here. And thank you so much, everybody, for spending your Saturday evening with us. Hopefully, by the end of this session, we'll have a better idea about what constitutes a good application, how to apply, and your questions about SMU. Hopefully, we'll be able to address most of them, if not all. So let's start. Let me quickly give you a bit of information about SMU, and then about the courses that we offer and the MBA program. So maybe in another 5-7 minutes, I quickly cover some of these things, and then we'll straight away get into the four resumes that we have shortlisted, and we'll discuss those resumes. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you all see this?
Yes,
Shivani, can you see this?
yes, absolutely. We
All
can.
right. So I'll just start with very quickly. Let me just share the Okay, that's so. Let me quickly go into why Singapore as a study destination. I'll not go into all these points. There's a fairly big laundry list that I've given there. I'll probably talk about 3 or 4 things which make Singapore a very attractive study destination. First and foremost, in my view, is the value for money education. So if you look at the cost of doing your MBA in Singapore versus other places, it's fairly similar to what you have in India. So if I take SME MBA as an example, the tuition fee of the SME MBA program is about 68,000 Singapore dollars, which comes to about 34 lakhs at current exchange rate. All right, and and then you have schools in India who are charging you almost around the same fee. Plus, if you consider other locations, you'll obviously end up paying more. Let's say if you go to somewhere like US, that the cost would be maybe 2 times or 3 times of this price point. So you get a good quality education at close to what you would pay in India. So value for money education. If you look at Singapore, Singapore is probably the only city anywhere where you'll have top 4 or 5 institutions in one city, right? So if you look at Singapore, you have INSEAD, you have NUS, you have SMU, you have NTU, right? All these are in top 50, 60 FT ranked MBA programs. Nowhere in the world, I think you'll have a city where you have 4 or 5 such programs which are top 50, top 60 ranked in the FT rankings, right? Good, and then a couple of other things, like if you look at uh, very strong economy, the only Asian economy which is AAA rated by S&P, Fitch, and Moody's, right? No other Asian economy, no India, no China, no Japan. Add to that it has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the world. So strong economy, low unemployment rate. Plus, it's fairly close to India. So if you're in one of the so if you take any of the big cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Calcutta, uh, Hyderabad, etc. It's about 4 to 6 hours of flying distance away, and one of the safest, probably the safest city anywhere in the world. So it's all a lot of these, all these factors make Singapore a very attractive study destination for Indian students. In fact, at one point of time, GMSC, the guys who conduct the GMAT exam, they did a they had a I was attending one of their sessions, and they had a report which said that Singapore was the second most preferred destinations for Indian students who are looking to go abroad for their studies. Of course, number one was US, but Singapore was the second most preferred destination. And I think some of these factors that I mentioned would have definitely played a role when people were looking at study destination to select when they're considering their education abroad. Now, let me quickly come into SMU. So SMU, as the name suggests, Singapore Management University. It's a purely management or a business university. At undergrad, postgrad, and research levels, we only deal with management or business as a subject. If you look at, we have about 15 to 20 different master's courses. We have 6 schools: the business school, the school of economics, school of social sciences, school of law, the school of accountancy, and school of computing and information systems. So all these schools offer postgrad courses. This is a list of courses that are offered. Not all are probably relevant for you, so I'll just restrict to MBA because that's what the theme of this today's session is about. I may touch upon a bit on MIM depending on the time that we have. But just to share something, we have a number of courses that we offer. At times, what happens is students come with a very with a view that they want to do an MBA, but they might feel that when they go through the other courses, their career aspirations or their academic interests are probably aligned better with some of the other masters that are available. So could happen, and that's why I thought maybe it's a good idea to put out these masters courses in front of you at this point of time. As I said, we are a management university. We started in the year 2000, so we have had about 20 years of journey now. Fairly good name that we have built for ourselves. We are one of the very few Triple Crown accredited schools. So if you look at about out of about 13,000 to 14,000 odd business schools around the world, about 88 odd schools have Triple Crown: ACSB, Equus, and AMBA, and we are one of them, and we are one of the youngest actually. And if you look at the other rankings, like I've mentioned this. This is slightly older slide because I didn't have I didn't know that I'll be presenting a slide, so I just quickly pulled up a old deck that I had with me. So some of these are slightly old rankings. So if you look at the MBA ranking, we have mentioned that the ranking that I've mentioned is slightly older one. The recent ranking, the 2021 FT ranking, SME MBA is ranked at number 58. The business school, as per the 2018 FT rankings, was ranked number 2 in Singapore, number 6 in Asia. Then a couple of other rankings. I'll not go into all these rankings. Uh, Let me. The master's courses that we have, I've kind of broken them down into post experience and pre experience. As the term suggests, post experience are the programs which require you to have certain amount of experience, typically 2 or 3, depending on the program. So, for example, the MBA program at SMU, it requires you to have at least 2 years of experience before you become eligible to join the program, right? And then we have a pre. Let me quickly go into the MBA program right away. It's a 1 year program with some amount of flexibility. The flexibility is you can finish your course in about 10 months time, or you can take up to 15 months. Whether you finish it in 10 months or whether you take 15 months or a year, the fee remains the same. Nothing changes. What all things we offer in the MBA program is you have to do 8 core courses, 10 electives. There's an internship which is part of the curriculum. So internship duration is minimum of 10 weeks. Maximum you can do up to 8 months of internship. Then there's an overseas immersion program. So these are the compulsory components. In addition to that, you can take few more electives. You can go on an exchange, which is not mandatory. It's optional. So this is in a nutshell is the SMU MBA program. Typically, depending on the duration of your internship and whether you want to go on an exchange or not, would determine whether you would finish your program a little earlier, let's say in about a year or maybe a little earlier than that, or you would take the whole 15 months. Again, as I said, that's a flexibility. That's your choice. Maybe you can decide when you want to complete your MBA studies. In terms of other unique things in the program, as I mentioned, first is internship. Typically, if you look at like a 10-month or a 1 year MBA program, they do not have an internship. So SME MBA is a fairly unique MBA program in that sense. Very few MBAs that I am aware of would have a internship in a 1 year course. So that's something very unique. In addition to that, fairly small program. If you look at the class size, SME MBA is about 80 odd students, and these 80 odd students come on an average anywhere from 15 to 20 different countries. Of course, it would change every year. Some year it could be close to 15, some year it could be close to 20, it could exceed 20. But the focus of the MBA program is to make sure that we have better diversity year on year. And there's something very interesting that we also introduce in the MBA program is lifelong long learning. So what it means is, as an alum of the program, you can come back to the SMU MBA class once a year for the rest of your life, and you can do one course free of cost with the full-time MBA class. So that's something that I don't think that you would get that opportunity. So just take an example. Let's say there's a big demand for cryptocurrencies and how you manage them and so on and so forth. And there's a course on cryptocurrencies in the full-time MBA program, which at your time wasn't there, and you want to learn, or it may be required in your work profile to learn about that, right? So come back to the SME program, do that course free of cost with the rest of the class, right? So that's the fantastic opportunity that the SME program provides you, right? So this is about the MBA program. Typical class profile is about, as I mentioned, 60 to 80 odd students. The average experience about 5 to 6 years. About 80 to 85% are international students, coming from various countries. Typically, it's an Asian class. You'll have a lot of candidates from Asia. We do get other people from, let's say, Europe and North America, and maybe one or two from South America as well. But it'll be typically an Asian class. As I mentioned, internship is part of the curriculum. So these are some of the companies who had taken our graduates for internships. You can see all kind of companies. You can see tech companies. You can see consulting companies. You can see FMCG companies. You can see banks, etc. So fairly diverse set of companies who take interns. This is something you'd be very keen to No, so something about the employment details. Again, as I mentioned, this is slightly old deck. I have not prepared a recent. So there's a recent employment report which is available on the website. You can download it. About 90%. But let me just give you a very quick snapshot. About 90% of our graduates find jobs within 6 months of graduation. About 77% were in Singapore as per this report, and the mean starting salary was about 85,000 Singapore dollars. This is what we look for, and I think we'll discuss this a little further when we do the profile discussions. The program starts once a year, which is January. So the next or the earliest intake now is January of 2022. The round one deadline is approaching. Round one deadline is 15th March 2021, and the round two will be 15th March 2021, 15th July 2021, beg your pardon, and the round three will be end of October 2021. Right. This is the tuition fee. As of now, it's about 68,000. Number of scholarships, and that's about the MBA program. I'll probably skip this pre-experience masters. Let me just quickly give a minute. So these are the various courses that we offer. If you do not have any experience, you can look at the MIM program, which is similar to the MBA program, but it's for people who have no experience. Then we have a couple of courses in finance, applied finance, and quantitative finance. We have a course in analytics and fintech and AI, which is Master of IT in Business, and then a couple of courses in accounting and economics, etc. I'll probably skip this part because we'll take these questions as in when somebody has a question on MIM. I just want to cover very quickly one important thing about yeah. So some of you would have this question about what is the impact of COVID, how's COVID impacting the classes, etc. So just want to share this update with you that in SMU from Jan 2021 onwards, all the classes are happening in the physical classroom format. Obviously, there are certain rules that you need to follow. You need to wear masks, you need to maintain social distancing. There's a cap on how many people can sit in a class. If the class size is beyond that, then you have to break it into two cohorts, and then you run two parallel classes, so on and so forth. So that's how it's happening. But as of now, there are no online classes. So all the classes are happening in SMU in the campus in the physical classroom format. Right. So these are my contact details. This is my email ID. I stay in Bangalore, India. Any questions, queries, you can always reach out to me. Preferably drop me a note first. That'll be easy for me to, then to respond to you. So I'm done with my slides. I'll just hand it over to you, Shivani, for the next. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Thank you for this nice presentation. So we'll call upon Satya first. I see him in the participants.
Sure.
So maybe you can pull out the resume.
Sure, let me do that. By the way, Satya is a lady.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so Satya, if you could also have your audio video on if you're comfortable with that. That ways you can ask questions, real-time questions.
And is that okay? I can share her resume here, no?
Yes,
Satya's
yes,
resume?
yes, yes.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Rajesh.
And we will be putting up this webinar on YouTube later. So anybody who has joined late or who want to again listen in or share with your friends, you can do that later.
All right. Satya, you're there?
Yeah, Rajesh, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you. Right. So I was let's go through your resume very quickly. So I'll start with your education first. So okay, typically even before I go to your resume.
Yeah, Rajneesh, can you put this on resume? I think it's not visible to everyone.
It's not visible. I think I've shared it. Can you not see it?
We can only see your folder where.
Yeah, only the folder.
Yeah. Only the folder. Oh, okay. I don't
Yes,
know.
yes.
Let me just try and I opened it. I don't know why it's not coming out. Let me do it now again. Is it visible now?
Yes. Now it is.
All right. So before that, let me share a bit about how the SMU MBA admissions work. So in terms of when you apply, you have to upload your resume. You have to send us your GMAT or GRE score. At the time of application, you can upload your student copy, and then you can send it through GMSE or through ETS your GMAT or GRE scores to us parallelly. But we'll not wait for the official score to proceed with the next processes in the application. Assuming your official and unofficial scores will match, obviously. And then there are two essay questions. There's a letter of there are two letter of recommendations that you need to provide us. uh, that's about it, and your passport and couple of and your degree and transcripts, etc. So these are the various documents that are needed. Now what happens is, once you send us your complete application, your LORs are in and everything is in, then the adcom will go through your application, your essays, your resume and everything, your scores, and then make a decision whether we want to shortlist you for an interview or not, right? And once we have decided that we want to shortlist you for an interview, there'll be one round of Zoom video interview with the adcom. Typically it's one round. In case, which is very rare, in case there's a need that we want to have one more conversation with you, we'll have that, but it's not a normal occurrence. It's very rare. So that's how. And then we'll make a decision whether we want to make you an admission offer or not. And if we decide to give you an admission offer, you'll be informed, and then you get about a week's time or so to either accept the admission offer or decline it. If you're accepting it, then you have to make a 10% deposit, 10% of the tuition fee as the deposit to confirm your seat in the program. As I mentioned, the class size is about 80 odd students. And as I shared in the slide deck about the diversity, so we as a school are very keen to maintain or to improve the diversity year on year. So we try and keep the we try and not take too many candidates from one particular profile or one particular nationality. So for example, you might have this question, how many candidates would you be taking from, let's say, India? India is one of the largest applicant pool for us. We get a lot of applications from India. So we try and keep it to about 20% of the class size from India. All right. So then you can do the math, and you can see how many candidates are going to be there in the program. Right now, so any questions you have, Satya, before we go into your resume, deeper into your resume?
Not really, Rajneesh. I think you've explained everything really well.
All right.
So thank you for that. Yeah.
All right. So profile wise, fairly good profile, I would say. So just one quick question. So I see you've done two levels of your CA in India, and then there was the, so did you take the credit transfer there and then completed the ACCA from UK?
Yes. So
All right. So I
as you,
thought
yeah,
that.
yeah. So as you are aware, CA requires you to do a 3 years of your
Yes.
apprenticeship,
Right.
during which I was with the Big Four, and I remember seeing a lot of them who had who had done their CPAs, ACCAs from other countries, and it gave them a better exposure to kind of
Right.
perform
Right.
globally.
Right.
That's
So
one of the reasons why
one reason I picked up this profile was fairly, I would say, fairly good profile, and a fairly at the same time fairly common set of skill set that we get every year. A BCom, a CA working in a Big Four with audit or assurance and taxation and similar areas. Right. So fairly. Now my question, see, so profile wise, as I said, fairly good, fairly regular as well. So nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that. It's a skill set which is in good demand. It's a skill set which sells as well. So there's nothing wrong in having this skill set. So when I say it's a fairly common, don't take it in a negative way. It's a good skill set to have. Now, my question to you, Satya, would be: you have done about 6-7 years of work, right? So you finished your BCom in 2013, so about 7 years of experience. So what is your post MBA career? Why do you want to see that? That's one question. See, SMU as a school is very focused on the fitment with the program. As you understand, it's a fairly small class, right? So fitment with the class, fitment with what are your career goals, whether we'll be able to help you achieve those career goals, whether it'll be in a good position, will set you up in a good position where you have the maximum chances of achieving your career goals. So from that point of view, this question becomes very, very important. Why you want to do an MBA specifically from SMU, and what are your post MBA career goals?
Okay. I'll take up the second question first. Now, before I
Sure.
answer that, I'd like to just give you a brief background. So,
Sure.
I got into CA, then ACCA with the idea that I wanted to, build up a profession in audit. I was good at audit and I really enjoyed it as well. But there was a point when I used to do audit. Audit is mere problem identification. Like audit does not provide you with solutions. It's a post-mortem exercise on companies, by the way.
Right.
So that was the point when I used to work with a lot of my clients, and I realized I am identifying the problems, but I can also help them solve it. Now, if I have to solve it, being in audit doesn't necessarily help you with that, right? So that was the point where I decided, consulting would actually be a better fit for me. And since I was already in Deloitte, it was an easier shift for me to move within Deloitte into consulting. And when I moved to consulting in early last year, it was a bit of an experiment because obviously I never looked to this side of the world. But I think about 2 to 3 months in, I actually started working on some really good projects and I enjoyed it as well. And that was the point when I realized I think MBA is something that I should look at, because I come from a very technical background. Like I would have studied all the technicalities related to finance or accounting, audit, taxation, and those subjects. But I've never really developed on skills that connect my problem identification to the problem solving part of it, right? So I believe that an MBA would definitely help me with that. And most MBAs are usually focused on training people around, through these case studies and everything to develop that kind of a mindset.
Right.
And then also I've realized the necessity of, building a network after a certain point, especially when you want to grow ahead in these fields. So post MBA, I would definitely continue in consulting because I enjoy it and I see myself doing well in consulting going forward in the future as well. So that is one of the reasons why I picked it up, and the reason why I'm looking at Asia, Singapore, SMU is for the diversity, the way it's geographically located. I understand the importance of being in a finance hub, it's an activity trading hub, right? Singapore, most of the Southeast Asia. So I understand the importance of being in a place like that, and I know I can build my skills around, in a university which is placed in that region. So that is I know it's a little raw because I haven't really framed my answer around this yet.
No, that's okay. It's anyways not obviously it's not an interview. So I'm just trying to understand your thoughts, right? And I'm more than happy to share more information. So one thing that you mentioned about the way your case-based teaching methodology touched upon the case study part. So I also want to share this. I think it was there in my slide deck. Maybe I didn't touch upon it. Again, you're in a if you look at SMU, that's something again very unique in SMU. So we have our own case writing team. We have a Center for Management Practice, where there's a team who talks to a lot of companies, does the research on the companies, meets these companies, and there's an active case writing team. So we write a lot of our own cases. So let's say unlike a lot of other schools where they just buy cases, we kind of use a model where we buy certain cases and then we use our own cases. So imagine you're being taught by a faculty who has actually contributed to that case. So they bring in a lot of that real learning. So that's one part.
Absolutely,
Second part is most of these cases are focused on Asia, right? So we are a school in Asia. Most of our graduates end up running businesses in Asia, working in Asia, or selling Asian products, or building products and services frameworks for Asian customers, right? Now you would understand a great product or a service that works in a Western market may or may not work as it is in Asia, right? Because the in terms of regulation, price, etc., very, very different. So how do you customize a great product which has been a huge success in, let's say, US? How do you bring it to an India, or to a China, or to a Vietnam, or to a Korea or a Japan, right? So and that's one of the reasons, right? You're going to a business school to learn all of that. So that's something that you get to learn in SMU. So that's again something very, very, very unique in SMU. Any other questions that you have? When are you planning to write your GMAT or GRE? I'm not aware whether you've taken GMAT or GRE.
No, I haven't. I plan to write it by about August, September this year. So that's how I'm thinking through it. But that's my plan at the moment. So I'm not sure if I should be applying this year or next year. So
that's a decision that I leave to you. But I also want to share something with you. in general, it's always a good idea to apply early. So we have 3 rounds, as I shared earlier.
Okay.
Generally, round 1 is your best shot. Round 2 is not too bad either. Round 3 typically becomes little, difficult, simply
Okay.
because A, it's a small program, small class size, and
Mhm.
we follow rolling admission. So, by the time you would submit your application, you could really
Okay.
be one of the better candidates, but then if you don't have seats to offer, we cannot really do much, and then we'll have to put you on a wait list.
Yeah, yeah. So what are your deadlines like for the various rounds?
So round 1 is 15th March, round 2 is 15th July, and round 3 and the final is round 3 and or final is October end.
Okay, okay, got it. Thank you for that. Yeah.
All right, any other questions, Satya? Anything that you want me to elaborate, want me to share more about the program, about Singapore? And yeah, any last
No,
questions?
no, Rajneesh, this has been particularly helpful. Any comments from your end that you think I could probably, develop on, work on, and
Uh, not really. As I mentioned, the fitment and the career goals and all that becomes very important. So when you will be writing your essays, you'll obviously be focusing on all of that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah,
becomes a very important part of your application. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's all I would. Yeah, I would suggest at this point of time.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you so much for that. Thank
All
you.
right, all the best to you.
Thank you, Rajneesh.
Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Satya, and thanks, Rajneesh. The next candidate that we are going to take is Mukesh. So maybe Mukesh,
Let me just open Mukesh
yeah.
resume.
Yeah, and in case any of you haven't got a chance to have his or her profile discussed here and they do want some help later, you can reach out to us by leaving your name and number here. And probably one of us from Jamboree or SMU will reach out to you to answer your queries. So this is a forum which we want, I mean, more discussions on. But if you want to connect with us later also, you can leave your name and number in the chat window.
Hi
Yes,
Mukesh, you're there.
Mukesh, you can unmute. Yeah, I can see him.
I
Mukesh,
can also see him. I'm not sure whether he's able to unmute and
okay. Uh, okay, maybe we can proceed with just analyzing his resume because I think I have given him the access to unmute. Yeah, now he's able to unmute. Yes.
hi Mukesh.
Hi.
I have gone through your resume. Before we go into your resume, do you have any quick questions for me that you want me to address first?
As of now, let's go with the resume. Then I will have actually I have questions definitely
Sure,
because
sure.
my work experience is just 9 years,
You're right.
and and I have done MBA in a small like 6 months
Correct, correct.
kind of executive course from IA in Lucknow.
Lucknow, right. So, and in fact, these were my questions actually. And the reason I picked up your profile is because you're going for another MBA. So my questions to you, okay, your profile wise, again, you're already in a sales and account management role in technology industry. Seems to be doing well, right? So you already a national sales manager. You have I see you've been doing sales for a while now.
Yeah.
Fairly, I mean, from the resume, I can see you're doing fairly well. You've all done an MBA, you've done an MDP. So my questions to you would be of course, why do you want to do another MBA? How does another MBA fit in with your career plans? How is it going to add value to you? And then second would be, what do you want to do post MBA? What are your career aspirations? Short term, medium term?
Uh, Actually, it is about just a career goal which I have. Actually, I just want a growth out of my career.
Mm-hmm.
So. Uh, Maybe in terms of designation, I want even a higher designation, and so where I could, I'll have more opportunity to add value towards the organization.
Okay, but then no, that's fair. But what I'm trying to understand is you have done an MBA, so
Yes.
why do you feel there's a need for another MBA?
Like MBA, I have done a MBA, no doubt, But at this point of time, my you can say the objective is to go for kind of executive MBA, 1 year fast, fast MBA program.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
No, are you looking at a full time or are you looking at an executive MBA?
Executive MBA full time.
Okay, no, I think that there's a disconnect. So what happens is, if you look at globally, the full-time MBAs are different, and executive MBAs are typically the ones where you don't really need to quit your job. So you can continue to do your job, and you can do an exec MBA. So I think in India, it kind of becomes a mix of both, which is not the case. So if you look at, in SMU, we have an executive MBA and we have a full-time MBA. For executive MBA, you don't really need to quit your job. You can continue to work, and you can do your MBA. The exec MBA at SMU, the work experience requirement is minimum 10 years. The average is about 17, 18 years. So that's a different, I'm guessing, and I think most of the global schools also kind of have a similar structure where the exec MBA is for people who have slightly more experience, and a full-time MBA is typically, people who are in the mid-career, about 5-6 years of experience kind of. No, but fair enough. All right, so we'll not go too much into it. Let me understand one more thing. And are you looking at Singapore? And if yes, then why Singapore for your another MBA?
As of now, it is not actually. I have not defined it, but I will go for. It is like I'm at this point of time neutral. So whichever I'll find, like I'll do little more research. So I'll go for that. So it can be Singapore also.
Right. All right. Fair enough. So see, in terms of your profile, again, I would say fairly good profile. I can see, you have done your bachelor's, you worked for some years, you've done your MBA. I think you finished your MBA after your couple of years you worked, and then you did your MBA, right? You finished your BCA in 2010, then you worked for a couple of years. You did your MBA, and then you continued to work, and you grew in your role, and then you did an MDP as well. And now you're looking, so profile wise, again, no such issues. Fairly good profile. In fact, somebody coming from sales and marketing or sales and account management background in the MBA program would be definitely helpful for the rest of the class, because somebody can bring in the learnings from their work professional experience in terms of how you sell things, how you deal with clients, how you manage the accounts and grow the accounts, and so on and so forth. But in your case, when you apply to a program, the questions, specifically from an SMU MBA point of view, your second MBA is not obviously an issue for us. We don't we take it on a case by case basis. So we are neither we neither favor those who are looking for second MBA, nor we take them. It's disadvantageous for you if you're applying for another MBA. So we take it on a case by case basis. Every year we do get applications from people who are looking for their second MBA, and then we evaluate the application on its merit. Every applicant who is looking for another MBA, their reasons have been different in our experience so far. So and I can I mean, obviously, you have your own reasons, but in your case, if you apply to SMU, specifically to SMU, and I'm guessing even for other schools, your reasons for why you want to do another MBA, and why what are your career goals, and how doing an MBA would help you in achieving those career goals, would be very, very, very important at this point of time. I'm sure this is the first conversation probably that you're having, so obviously your thoughts are not really, you're not really given deeper thought, and you're not really framed it properly. But I think I'm sure you have those dots in your head, and you have to kind of connect those dots and make a cohesive story. So that will become very, very important.
Okay.
Right. Any questions that you have?
Yeah, but that question you have already asked me, that like why second MBA? So like like will it add like kind of, will it be a good idea to go for the like MBA again? Because
see, again, that's a decision that you are taking, right? So ideally it should come from you as to why you want to do another MBA, and whether, okay, even if you forget about second MBA, right? Essentially it's an MBA that you're applying to. So why you want to do an MBA is the answer, is the question that you need to answer. Why MBA, right? So in your case, you've already done an MBA, so that's an add-on, right? So that anyways you have to answer. So that's yeah.
So I will have to find out, like, because I want to get into marketing. I am currently into purely sales and account management. So my like objective is to get into marketing and maybe product development. These are two areas where I want to get into. So
All
that's
right.
why I'm planning.
All right. As I said from our side, as far as SME is concerned, again, it's neither advantageous nor disadvantageous. If you have an MBA and you're applying for another MBA, see, some schools tell you that they prefer people who have done an MBA. Some schools don't encourage you to apply if you already have an MBA. SMU as a school, we don't have any prejudices. So you are like any other applicant to us. We'll evaluate your application on its merit.
Okay. And do I need GMAT?
A GMAT is a mandatory requirement. Yes, GMAT or GRE.
Okay. Either GMAT or GRE.
Either GMAT or GRE. Yeah.
Okay. And what is the kind of score we need?
So typically, score on GMAT around 700 is what we recommend. That's a guideline score. Of course, we look at GMAT score in conjunction with the profile. So you have to see the profile and the GMAT score together. You can't just look at the GMAT score and just shortlist on the basis of that. So it's just a holistic evaluation. Having said that, 700, keep 700 as a guideline score. Try and get your score closer to 700.
Yeah, I'm preparing for that. Maybe in July I'll take the exam.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, thank you so much.
All right. All the best to you, Mukesh.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, all the best, Mukesh. I think you can do more soul searching on establishing your reasons of doing an MBA.
Right. Yeah.
Match it
Yes,
with the school.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you. So
Yeah.
let's have Vani Sharma now. Vani, I'm just
Let me just share
pull up her resume.
Yeah, it's here. Yes. You're there, Vani? I think
Yes,
she's there. Okay, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
Yeah, hi, Vani. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm good too. Thank you. All right. So I was just going through your resume very quickly. So let me ask you this question. So when is this your like I'm sure this is not going to be your resume when you apply to a business school. You'll obviously be putting in lot of effort in writing this resume, because what I see is in about 2 years of experience, you've just mentioned 3 bullet points. I think you need to put in lot of information here. I can see you've done you're working in Indigo as network planning, so your role involves lot of operations, right?
Yes.
But what are your key achievements in your role? What are your key learnings? What things you have done has to come out little more. I'm guessing it's you maybe just did it in a hurry. You've put in very skeletal information. I can understand that, but you need to definitely put in a lot more information. So I'm sure you'll do all of that. So let me just understand from you, why are you looking at an MBA? What are your reasons for doing an MBA?
So currently actually because I'm working in an airline and my job is very aviation core related.
Right.
I think like going for an MBA will definitely give me a better exposure.
Mm-hmm.
What actually happens in real world, because right now I'm just confined in that industry and there is no way for me to go outside and explore.
Okay.
Because like in aviation industry, things happen a lot different than how they happen in like normal consulting, like for example, different companies altogether.
Yeah. Okay.
I think MBA will definitely give me a boost of knowledge, and that is something I definitely have to go forward with.
All right. And are you looking for, let's say, maybe industry change or a function change? What are your thoughts? What are your objectives?
Yes, I actually wanted to go for either MBA in marketing or data analytics, like either of these. So
Okay.
it's definitely like an industry and a department change for me.
All right. And you're not looking at a career in operations?
Uh, Not yet, I would say. That's something
Okay.
I'll have to explore.
All right. Okay. And any particular reason why you are looking at data analytics? I'm just trying to understand a bit more, because from your resume, I mean, I could not get a lot of information about you as a professional. So I was just trying to understand, a little bit more.
Okay. So the reason. Okay, I'm sorry. What was the question again?
So why are you looking at data analytics? What is the reason? Have you done a bit of data analytics in your current role?
I do work on it a little bit, but then it's
Okay.
not as extensive.
Okay.
So because there are a lot of departments, those who specifically handle data analytics part in our company, and I interact with that department on or like almost daily basis. So that is something I'm very interested in knowing more about and studying. Because I'm not exactly clear as to what happens there, but it just sounds very interesting and very intriguing to me. So that is something I'll definitely like to
Okay. All right.
explore.
All right. And the second term you mentioned was marketing. So again, marketing, when you say marketing, are you looking at marketing, let's say within the same industry, let's say airline industry, or you're looking to change to maybe, let's say FMCG or something else, or totally altogether different?
Um, so like given the option, I would like to stay in aviation industry.
Mm-hmm.
But but as a backup option, I'm definitely open to more options.
Okay, okay. So, no, because I'm just trying to understand a bit, in terms of your motivation to do an MBA. What you mentioned to me was, I heard that, but it wasn't really very clear to me. You did mention that you want to understand a bit about other industries and other function areas. But I'm just trying to understand, where do you see yourself, let's say, working in after you complete your MBA? So what kind of role, what kind of industry? I mean, you don't really need to name a company or a specific role, but broadly some sketch in terms of some details, some pictures, some view as to what you see yourself. Let's say you go and join an MBA program in another 6 months time, and then you graduate after a year. So what kind of career, or what kind of a role that you'll aspire for, or you'll look for?
So once I graduate from an MBA, I am looking for a consultancy role. Actually, I'm related to aviation and aerospace
Okay.
because
Okay.
I have like done a little bit of research about it. So that is also something, because in that part you will be like connected to the industry,
Mhm.
on which I have now in-depth knowledge,
Right.
and you will also get to utilize the skill sets which I'm going to acquire after doing my MBA, like which is like analytical part, doing
So
the
fair, fair.
research.
So now your answer is becoming a little more clearer. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So,
Yeah.
so like that is what my ultimate goal is, like go for like a consultancy for like let's say any airline in the world.
All right, fair enough. And then when are you planning to do your MBA? Are you looking at doing in another 6 months, 1 year? You want to work maybe for another couple of years and then do it? Because you have about what, 2 years plus experience as of now, 2 years and few months, right?
So I was actually hoping to apply in the fall of 2022, but now that I know that SMU only takes like January intake,
Right, right,
so
right,
now I
right.
think a 23 would be a much better option for me, because
Okay,
I'm
so
going to sit for my GMAT, and like by the time I actually appear for my MBA, I would have like at least solid 3+ years of experience.
very, so that's what I was actually coming to. So that's what, and that's one of the reasons I also picked up this profile of yours, was because I wanted to drive home this point that typically, if you ask me, in my view, the sweet spot to do an MBA is about anywhere from your 3-4 years to about 7-8 years. Typically that's a really good time. If you do it in about 2 years time, see, you will become eligible to do an MBA for sure, with at least in SMU, and I think in a couple of other schools as well. But then with just about 2 years of experience, your admission chances become little difficult. You compete with people who have a lot more experience. And second, even from your post MBA career point of view, it's good to bring a certain set of skill set which you can take to the prospective employer. So let's say if you worked in Indigo in operations role for 4 years or something, right? When you apply to a consulting company for a consulting profile in the aviation vertical, you can talk about the work that you have done for 4 years, and you can bring a certain skill set which will be valued by the prospective employer. So that becomes a really a solid base from which you can start your conversations. With just
Hmm.
about 2 years, you've done some work, but you're still not really deep into it. You
Hmm,
getting
hmm.
my point?
Right, right.
So I'm happy that you're actually thinking along those lines, and you have your thought process really sorted out. So
Yeah.
that's really a good thing going for you. And yeah, so any other questions, anything that you want to discuss further?
So basically, you would recommend that I actually, acquire a little bit of more experience and then probably go for MBA. That would be.
I would suggest so. Yeah, definitely. So, anyways, I mean, as far as SMU is concerned, 2021 is ruled out for you. So the
Yeah.
earliest you can go for is 2022. So even for 2022, you're not too bad. I wouldn't say it's not a good time because you'll have about 3.5 years of experience by the time the program starts. So still okay. Adding one more year is obviously no. I mean, depends on the quality of work that you're doing. So see, one is just the number of years of experience. The second is about the quality of the work that you do, right? So both are obviously important. Quality, I would say, is still more important because you would know what kind of learning that you're getting, what kind of growth you're getting, what kind of skill sets you are adding to your own profile, right? So those are more valuable than maybe just adding 6 more months to, or getting 6 more months of payslip, let me put it that way, right? So yeah, definitely 2022 won't be too bad. 20, I think I kind of agree with what you said. So maybe the fall of 2022 would probably work better for you.
Yeah, right.
But
But then
that's okay.
SMU is the target, so like 2023, it has to be.
2023, I think you'll be actually in a better position. Simply because you have not even done a GMAT yet. By the time you write your GMAT, you submit your application, you'll probably end up applying in round 3. That's what it looks
Right.
to me, right? So
Which
then
would be very
I would say, get a good GMAT score, continue to work, and then apply early for the 2023 intake. That would be a better approach. I normally recommend, rather than applying to a school in round 3, try and apply for the subsequent round, subsequent intake in round 1. That's generally a better approach, both from an admission point of view and even from a scholarship point of view.
right. Oh yeah, I also had a few questions about scholarship, but I think you will cover it in a broader aspect after the CV analysis is done.
I think I can address now. Is that okay, Shivani? We can take those questions. No,
Absolutely.
let's take that
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Yeah, let's take
Yeah,
those questions as and when they come.
yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so would you recommend, like, now that you have like a little bit of better understanding as to how, what my profile is, how my CV looks, if I end up scoring like, let's say, 700 plus, because that's my target for GMAT,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so would I have like a better chance of securing a good scholarship from SMU?
Okay, so see, scholarships. Let me do one thing. Let me stop sharing your resume. Let me quickly open the scholarship page of SMU MBA program, and then just share with you what are the various scholarships that we have. Okay, let me just go here, and okay, it should be coming up on the screen right now. Right? Can you see this is the SMU MBA page, and there I'm going to the scholarship section. So if you see, these are the various scholarships that we have: academic excellence, global awareness, leadership, community impact, impact on Asia, and women in business. So these are the scholarships. So scholarships we have in 6 different buckets. So each bucket has a budget, and each and you have to apply. So first, you don't have to apply. So when you asked me the question about the GMAT score has bearing only on this scholarship. Others scholarships, GMAT has no bearing at all. So academic excellence is basically if you have a 700 or above GMAT and a good undergrad academic performance, then you are eligible for academic excellence scholarship. 700 to 720, you are eligible for 20% of the tuition fee as the scholarship amount. 720 plus, you are eligible for 30% of the tuition fee as the scholarship amount. Other scholarships, if you see, like let's say leadership, so this you have to specifically apply. There's an essay that you need to submit to us after you get the admission offer from us, and you have to accept the admission. Then you have to write this essay. Please explain in 500 words why you consider yourself a leader, and then you can bring in examples from your workplace, from your student days, etc. Similarly, for a community impact, there's an essay that you need to write. Please share an example of how you have impacted your greater community and what you think is the best way to serve society. So nowhere, this scholarship or the leadership one talks about your GMAT. Or if you look at impact on Asia, or if you look at women in business, please explain in 500 words why you should be awarded with women in business scholarship. You can bring in your, your what contribution you have done, demonstrate career progression, line management progression, profession recognition, etc. So all of that. So nowhere, GMAT is a criteria except for the first scholarship.
Right. Understood.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I think that would be it for my side.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope I was able to address your questions. And Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much for entertaining the CV. Thank you.
Thank you, Vani. Thank you, Rajneesh. So over to Sagar now. The next candidate, Sagar Chawla, I think.
Let me just open Sagar's resume.
So Sagar, if you can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Hi Rajnish.
Hi,
Yeah.
Sagar,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm doing great.
Fantastic. So I see you're working in the wealth management space.
Yeah.
So you work as what, relationship manager?
Yeah,
Yes.
I handle all the HNIs that
Right.
ICICI Prudential has.
All right, fantastic. And so do you want to continue in the same line of work, or are you looking to do something else?
So basically, I am into mutual funds, and
Mm-hmm.
for past 3 years, what I got to understand is rather than selling a mutual fund, I would like to make a mutual fund, and I would like to select the stocks for a mutual fund.
So you want to move more into fund management.
Yes, definitely.
All right. All right. So let me ask you this question. So are you the reason I'll tell you why I asked this question. Are you only looking at an MBA, or are you open to considering other masters?
So basically, what I have understood in my life in India is what exactly what I want from an MBA or a master's is they should at least give a practical experience that lacks in India, right? So
Okay.
most of my friends have done MBA, and they
Mm-hmm.
have not done it from good B schools in India, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're earning just what I am earning, right? So I what I would like is an MBA with a difference, right?
Got it.
Or a financial masters with a difference that really gives you that knowledge so that you can be a part of some good management team, or you can get into those good companies, right?
Got it. The reason I asked that question is I'm not sure whether you were there when I did the presentation. So during the presentation, I did present a number of masters. I just mentioned them. I didn't really go deeper into any of the masters
Yeah,
courses.
I was there. So the,
Right. Right.
analytical MSc in finance, MSc in finance
Right,
quantitative,
right, absolutely,
right.
absolutely. And one reason I picked up your resume was because I wanted to, again, drive home this point that at times people are very hung up on the label that the MBA gives them, right? Whereas it
Mhm.
could happen that there could be a master's degree which is actually better suited for them in terms of their learning objectives and in terms of their career aspirations as well. So in your case, the reason I asked you that question first and foremost was, are you, looking to make a career in continuing in the same industry? You said, yeah, more or less, and you want to move a little more towards the fund management side rather than trying to sell it to HNIs or institutional investors, the various products and services, thereby growing their money. So you don't want to continue to do that, right? And you want to move more into the fund management aspects of it. So we have a
Right.
master's course. See, I'll tell you, we have a master's course which is called Master of Science in Wealth Management, MWM, MSc in Wealth Management. It's been ranked as the number one course in Asia by FT for last 3, 4, 5 odd years. It was number two by FT in the world once, and it was number three in last, in the other times by FT across all the masters in finance courses, which require you to have certain amount of experience. It's a very hands-on program. In addition to the classes, you have two study stints. One is to St. Gallen, which is in Switzerland. So you get
Yeah.
exposure to the Swiss banking secrecy, privacy laws. Industry practitioners will come and teach you there, talk to you, their industry visits. And then there's another study stint, which is at Yale Business School in US. So, you get exposure to Asia, to Switzerland, which is the mecca of all business, all wealth management activities, and then US, which is obviously the largest economy, right? And then in addition to the wealth management degree, you also get a couple of additional certificates. One is the IBF and another is the CACS. So these are the certificates that are required if you want to work in client advisory or private banking industry in Singapore. And there's an internship. So you have about 4 to 6 months of internship in the program. So it's in 1 year. So all these things. And the way the class is structured is the class profile says that about 50% of the class is people who are working in the industry. So, they're sponsored by the company. So, let's say a big name multinational bank in Singapore, their private banking division has sent their employee to this program who could have about 25 years of experience. He's
Okay.
there in the program with you, and the good thing is he's there in the program with you. He brings in a lot of industry experience. He shares that experience with the whole of the class. You do your assignments, projects together, your cases together. Plus, he's not competing with you for the job because he's sponsored. He'll finish the course and he'll go back to his regular job, right? So look at the kind of learning that you get in this particular program. So and the if you look at the, I mean, I'll probably email you later or drop me a note. I'll share the details, more details about the program. This program covers the whole, spectrum of wealth management activities, from raising money to, deploying money. So regulations and if you look at the various opportunities that people get after completion of the course, opportunities exist across, your typical, let's say, wealth management kind of roles, your relationship management kind of roles, private banking roles, asset management, fund management. Some even get into, PEVC kind of roles or alternate investment roles, right? So lot of various options that are. So when you mentioned fund management, I thought I'll probably share a bit about this particular program, and through your, resume as a case, I also wanted to drive home the point that, MBA is a very good program, no doubt about it, but at times keep yourself open to some of these other master's courses, which probably could be in a better place to address your learning needs and learning objectives and your career objectives.
So basically, Rajneesh, what I am side by side pursuing is CFA for that academic need, right?
Right, I think
And
I saw somewhere, is it in your resume that you
yeah,
have mentioned?
I have done my CFP, right?
Right,
And
okay,
I am currently pursuing CFLL1, right?
okay.
And what I personally have researched about what is the difference between MSc and MBA is, MBA give you the communication and the soft skill set, and the masters gives you the financial and the academic skills, right? So for my academic skills, I'm already doing my CFA thing, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And what I would like basically to do is an MBA that would give me an edge over different peer, let's say, students that are in my age, but I have more knowledge.
Okay, see, the way I put it is, MBA is basically, it's a general management curriculum. Typically, it covers a lot of things. So an MBA curriculum would cover a bit of finance, a bit of marketing, a bit of operations, a bit of strategy, a bit of economics, a bit of accounting, etc., etc., right? Whereas if
Mhm.
you look at, let's say, a master's in finance, it'll cover more depth and more breadth of finance as a function area. So if let's say, if I'm a recruiter who's looking to hire a fund manager, right? Would I would
Mhm.
I would I take somebody, or would I go and take somebody who has done, let's say, 5 6 courses in finance, maybe one course in fund management related to that, versus somebody who has done about 15 20 courses in finance and, understands a little more about options and futures and alternate investments and fund management and regulations and all of that,
Right. So
right?
one question I would like to ask you, Rajneesh, for my about 3 years of experience, why did you choose my profile?
See,
Because
as I mentioned, I chose your profile because I wanted to drive home that point that, look at other courses as well. MBA is obviously, MBA is obviously a program that you can consider, but see whether there are other courses like other masters which are relevant, which could probably work better for you. Do a bit of research and talk to the alum, talk to the, uh, do your secondary research, to check out the details. And I mean, the point is, don't just be hung up on those, that label MBA.
right, right. The other question what I have about SMU is, how is SMU going to help me
Sorry, can't hear you. Hello. How is the SME going to help you? That's the only part I heard.
hello?
Yeah, sorry, repeat. Could you please repeat your question?
So my question is, how is SMU different from the competition schools, and what is so unique about SMU? I would like to inquire. that I should apply for SMU, not NUS, and that is what I would like to know.
I mean, okay, that's something that I leave to you. I mean, you can obviously apply to. I'm sure you will apply to multiple schools. Typically, people do apply to multiple schools, and I would also recommend that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's not guaranteed that you'll get admission in a school that you're applying to. So it's a sensible thing to apply to multiple schools, definitely. How is SMU different? Is basically, a few things. One is, if you look at in terms of location, we are right in the middle of the business district of Singapore. So we are surrounded by business community because of our location. We work closely with business community. So we are a business school working closely with the business community. Just to give you an example, we do about 100 events per quarter in the campus on an average with the business community. So CEO talks, ambassador talks, some industry practice leader is coming and giving you a talk, a pre-placement talks, much deeper in interaction with the business community. That's one. Second is, if you look at us versus other universities, as I mentioned earlier, we are a pure play business university. So whatever brand we have built so far is because of our contribution to business education. Whereas if you look at a comprehensive university, they have lot of areas, right? They have an engineering school, they have a medical school, they have something else. So they do lot of other work, right? So there's a focus versus diversification. So we are very focused on business. The third thing is, something I mentioned earlier. I think I was talking with Satya. So this unique thing about the cases, very crucial. So it's a fairly case-based teaching methodology, and we write our own cases. A lot of cases are focused on Asia, so you get to interact with the faculty who's actually contributed to that case, and learn from their experience. And the fourth, another important thing is, you mentioned about a bit about the soft skills aspects. So SMU as a school is actually very focused on soft skills. So there's a lot of focus on developing soft skills in the students. So at all level, undergrad, if you look at the teaching methodology or the pedagogy at SMU, it's very seminar style. So it's a fairly small classroom. It's case-based teaching methodology. You're encouraged to speak. You're encouraged to participate in the class. There are a lot of presentations, group projects, role plays, etc. That's how you're taught. So you are, in addition to whatever the functional or the technical skills you get through the curriculum, you also develop yourself as an individual, who's able to communicate better, who's able to work in teams better, who's able to present better, who's able to negotiate better. So that's the focus of the of the school. So it's not just programs, it's across the school. So those are some of
Right,
the unique things about SMU.
right. So I have one more question that about Singapore providing you visa for after your MBA. How much time do they offer you work ex visa?
Okay, so the way things work in Singapore, the visa rules are fairly straightforward. So your employment pass, it's called EP, employment pass, is tied to your employer. So let's say there's a situation when you graduate and you have a job at the time of graduation, then your employer will apply for an employment pass. Let's say there could be a situation when you don't have a job at the time of graduation. Then what you can do is you can extend your stay in Singapore for by another year. So you can stay for one more year and look for a job.
Okay, that is what Singapore permits. You can
Yeah.
stay up to 1 year after your graduation
Right.
while searching
Right.
for your job.
Yes.
Right, right. So what is the what according to you should be the age for an ideal MBA? So I have a 3 year, approx 3 year work ex, right? So and my friend is doing an MBA from UK. So he tells me about his experience that he is one of the youngest guys to pursue an MBA,
Mm-hmm.
and in his university. And I also feel I also felt the same while talking to him. If I go for an MBA right now with a 3 year work ex, so what are my chances whether versus a guy with an 8 year work ex of getting a job after pursuing an MBA? So are the chances same, or is it that the people with more work ex are likely to get hired early and with a good package?
See, it depends on a lot of factors, right? So, assuming both of you come from the same industry, applying for the same job, etc., then somebody who has more experience will probably be in a better spot because of the amount of experience that the person. Also depends on what amount of experience does the role require. Is the role for slightly, let's say, mid to senior position, or slightly from junior to mid position, right? So it depends. There's no absolutely right or wrong answer if you ask me this. But if you but let me answer the first part of your question. In my view, the sweet spot is about 4 to 7, 8 years kind of bracket. So that's the, or maybe you can start with 3.5 to about go to about 7 to 8 years. That's the right range when you should be doing your MBA. Now, if you ask me, is 5 better than 4.5? Again, it really depends. You can't really go into those minute level of your month on month calculation saying that 5 is better than 4 years and 8 months. So no, not really like that. So it also depends a lot on what is the amount, what is the quality of experience you have had, what kind of learnings you have had, what kind of skills you have added to your profile, and then then other factors also come into play.
Right, Anish.
All right.
Yeah. Any questions you have to ask?
No, I'm actually fairly good. Good conversation I've had so far, so I'm fairly good.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
thanks Sagar, thanks Rajneesh. So we'll open the floor to Q&A. In the interest of time, I'm just asking the general participants, they can type in your questions in the chat window, and we'll be happy to take your questions now. If anybody has a question, please let us know.
Okay, somebody asked this question. I think let me just take this question. Ishita Sharma has asked the question: can we apply with 1 year of work experience for MBA, which will be 2 years at the time of joining? I think the question is, let's say at the time of application, if you don't have 2 years of experience, can you still apply? Yes, you can apply. We'll assume that you continue. So for the Jan 2022 intake, we'll assume that you'll continue to work till December of 2021, and if you complete at least 2 years by that time, you will be eligible.
How does SMU look at non-conventional profiles, military or army?
Okay. So to answer that question, it's if I have the profile, I'll be in a better position. But then see, as a school, I mentioned earlier, right? We are a fairly small program, so you would definitely welcome more diversity in the program. So from a diversity point of view, somebody who's coming from non-conventional corporate background, let's say somebody coming from a military or an army, would definitely on paper definitely looks a very interesting profile. But then we also have to see what are your career goals. What do you want to do after the MBA? How do you fit into the your post MBA career, and whether the program will be able to give you that, right? We don't want a situation where your career goals are not aligned with what the market can offer, what the program can enable you to do. In that case, you may not be able to make it.
Somebody has asked about the MIM program. Uddhav has asked about MIM program. If you can talk about the MIM.
Okay, so let me just park this, because maybe I can just quickly go back to the slides and share a bit about, because it's a very open question. Just tell us about the MIM program.
Right.
So
right. Maybe you can, Uddhav, you can make your question more specific, I think.
So let's purely take the pointed questions, and then we'll, if time permits, we'll go back to his question, maybe share a bit about the MIM program.
Right.
Which somebody said, which program is better for civil engineering students at SMU with no work experience? Again, see, my rule of thumb is, when you ask this question, which program is better for somebody like this or like that, see, typically what you should do is look at two things. One is, what are your academic interests? What is it that you want? You might have done an engineering, you might have done a BCom, you might have done something else, whatever undergrad studies you have done. What are your academic interests? Are you really excited? You've done a civil engineering and you really like the subject and you want to pursue civil engineering further, do a master's in civil engineering. So one is, what are your academic interests? And second is, what kind of what are your career aspirations? Where do you want to make a career? You want to make a career in civil engineering. If you don't want to make a career in civil and you want to make a career in marketing, then choose a course in marketing. You want to make a career in sports management, choose a course in sports management. See, there has to be an alignment between what you are studying and what is your career aspirations. So I could like sports as a, or let's say for interest, I would love to study economics. But if I don't want to make a career in economics, then would I choose a master's in economics? Probably not. Right, so you have to understand that I have to take up a course which is aligned with my academic interest, something that I want to learn, something that I want to study, and some in the same area I want to make a career. That should enable me to make a career in that particular area.
Right.
So
So
somebody asked
Prabhu has
that
this question.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, Prabhu has this question about internship. He has 1 year of full-time experience and 1 year of internship. So will that count as 2 years, or internships are not at all counted in the?
Internships will not be counted as full-time experience. So it will be only 1 year of experience.
Okay. And after that, Alok has 13 plus years of work experience. So he's confused whether he should apply or not, because he feels that 4 to 8 years is what SMU is probably looking for.
My recommendation. That's a sweet spot. It's not that, we don't. So generally, that's what I said. Sweet spot for doing an MBA is, if you ask me, do we have somebody in the program in past who has less than 4 years of experience, between 2 to 4 years? Did we have somebody in the program who had more than 8 years of experience? Yes. So if when you say sweet spot, typically the majority of the class would fall in that experience bracket. But then, you have people who have between 2 to 3, 4 years of experience. At the same time, you have people who have 10 plus years experience as well in the program. To discuss your profile little deeper, I would suggest you email me your resume. We'll go through it. We'll set up a time and then we'll discuss one-on-one further.
Sure, you can leave your name, number, and email ID as well. And
I have also shared my name and email ID. So just drop me an email.
Right. I think then Sagar has about ROI. So I think you covered that in the presentation, why it is the best school for return on investment. So would you like to make a
wouldn't say
comment on that?
I mean, okay, ROI is a very, I would say it's a very misunderstood, a complicated thing. Typically people look at ROI as like, how much I'm paying and how much I'm getting in return. Like the typical, that ad that comes on TV, kitna deti hai sort of thing, right? That's not really the right way to look at ROI, right? So see, look at it. It's an investment in your own career, right? Which is going to pay you over. So it's not that the typical Maruti ad comes, you fill your tank and then you see, oh, it has given me so much of mileage, so that's that's not how it is, right? Is your MBA going to stop giving you benefits after just 1 year? No, right? Just after your starting salary? No, right? You still have, your growth will come, your career, your ability to move to different industries, different verticals, different profiles, all of that is enabled through an MBA. So I wouldn't recommend that, you look at just that as a figure. Having said that, even if you want to compare that, typically if you see our tuition fees about 68,000 Singapore dollars, the average starting salary was about 85,000 Singapore dollars, right? But I wouldn't say that's the right way to look at it. That's not really, it's not as simple. It's not as simple. You also letting go of your 1 year salary, right? So it becomes very, very complicated.
Right.
That's not the right way to. I
So,
wouldn't say, yeah.
Sure. Okay. So Rajneesh, I think we are done with the questions. There are a couple of questions around MIM. So I see some people are more interested in MIM. So do you have any final comments or any last comments that you want to make?
Maybe if I get 2-3 minutes time, can I quickly cover the MIM program?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Let's
Absolutely.
Do that then, yeah, let's do that. So I am just very quickly covering the MIM program. It's an 18-month program. If you look at the course curriculum, it's very similar to MBA. In fact, our 8 core courses are almost the same as the 8 core courses in MBA. Those 8 core courses would cover accounting, finance, operations, marketing, economics, organization behavior, analytics, and one more subject. And then you have electives. So you have to take 8 electives. You can either do a general management curriculum, or you can do a track specialization in finance, marketing, operations, or sustainability. It's an 18-month program. The academic calendar is for 1 year, and then you have about 5-6 months of internship. These internships are typically sourced by the SMU Career Services. If you don't want to do an internship, you can also do a practicum or additional courses. It's ranked in top 100 in last 2-3 years. We have 2 intakes, January and July. This year the intake is going to be in August. So this is typically about the program. This is the class profile. MIM and MBA, we as a school, we want to keep MIM and MBA as 2 different programs. We don't want to make it a hodgepodge. So typically we recommend people with about 0 to 2 years of experience to the MIM program. People with 2+ years of experience, they go to the MBA program. That's how we of course there's a bit of gray area. Somebody with just about 2 years of experience can, depending on the quality of experience, we can consider you for MIM as well. There's some amount, but generally this is what it is. The class size per intake is about 80 to 100 odd students. Again, fairly diverse class profile. If you see here, students coming from all over the places. Again, slightly more inclined towards Asian students, but then we do get candidates from other parts of the world as well. Okay, these are the employment details. Very, very fairly similar to what it was there in the MBA program, but you have to understand. Now, somebody would say, when I look at the average starting salary of MBA, it was higher, MIM is lower. You have to understand, in the MBA program, and it's not just SMU, I think you compare it with other schools as well. In an MBA, you have somebody who has worked for 5 years or 6 years, and in an MIM, you have somebody who has not worked at all. You can't expect both of them to start at the same level, right? Very, very unfair. Industry wouldn't allow that to happen. And as a fresher, you cannot be expected to start at a middle management level because you have no experience and never seen the industry before. Right. So what we require is, your undergrad degree experience is not mandatory. GMAT or GRE, or you can also take the SMU admission test. 2 intakes, January and July. Right now we are, this 2021 is, we have moved it to August because of the COVID. There are a couple of, the academic calendars are getting impacted a bit. People are not able to write their exams on time. Their degrees are getting delayed, etc. So we thought August would be a more appropriate time to start the program. And the admissions are open now for the August intake. Round 2, we just closed the round 1 deadline. Round 2 is March end, and the final deadline will be April or May end. And the tuition fee is, again, this is the tuition fee, about 45,000 Singapore dollars. Scholarships are very similar to what I explained for the MBA program, almost carbon copy, almost the same, similar scholarship structure. Again, there's a difference in the tuition fee. MBA is about 68,000 Singapore dollars. MIM is about 45,000 Singapore dollars. Both programs have an internship. Here, there's a dedicated window for internship. In the MBA, the internship and the classes happen parallelly.
Sure.
So this is about the MIM in a nutshell. Any specific questions about MIM? I can take those questions now.
Sure. I don't see any specific questions. So I think that's all the questions we've got for now. We'll probably end at that, and probably we can have a new webinar for MIM or master's courses in future, where we'll take up candidates for specific courses. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all for joining us, making it an interactive session. Thank you for all the participants for volunteering, especially for their profile to be shared here. And thanks, Rajneesh, for taking out the time and sharing these wonderful insights. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye from Jamboree.
Thank you, everybody, for spending your Saturday with us, and have a good weekend. All the best to all of you. Thank you so much, Shivani. You've been a fantastic host. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.